Hello students. Today we're going to talk about servant leadership. Let's get started. Service is the action of helping or doing work for someone without the expectation of pay or any kind of return. It is the act of assistance or kindness or lending a helping hand. It's similar to the idea of volunteering. And here are two pictures of groups of people who are serving others. In the top, you can see they are recycling different things, and so that is a service project where they're helping the community. In the bottom right, they are digging and building something, and that's another act of service because they're not getting paid for the things that they're doing. Again, service is something that you do without getting paid when we talk about it in our class. Leadership, we already know the definition of leadership, but let's review it. Leadership is a process whereby a person influences a group of people to achieve a common goal. So a leader is someone who influences other people to achieve a common goal. Now put those two together, service and leadership, and you get servant leadership. Servant leadership is an emerging leadership approach which emphasizes the caring principle, where leaders who focus on other followers' needs to help the followers improve themselves. So the idea is, with servant leadership, the leader is helping everyone else to achieve their goals, helping everyone else to improve themselves. So look at this quote from Cheryl Bachelder. Do you have big ambitions for yourself or big aspirations for the people on your team? A servant leader is someone who has big aspirations for the people on their team. In other words, a servant leader looks at the people that they are leading and tries to help them to be successful. The idea behind servant leadership is that if the followers are successful, then everyone's successful. The leader's successful as well when the followers are successful. There are a number of characteristics of servant leaders or servant leadership listed in your text. These include listening, empathy, foresight, persuasion, building community, awareness, stewardship, commitment to the growth of people, conceptualization, ethical behavior, and healing. We're going to look at each of these characteristics one by one. The first one is listening. Of course, listening means hearing others and acknowledging others' viewpoints. So it's not just the physical act of hearing, but it includes listening and understanding and acknowledging that someone else might have a different view or a different idea than we do. Servant leaders listen. Empathy. Empathy means standing in the shoes of some other person and trying to feel or feel alongside what they feel. So you see this cute picture of a cat with its arm on another cat and looking at that cat with empathy. That's the idea. Usually we think of empathy when someone else is hurting. They've gone through a difficult time, and we want to come alongside them and encourage them, also feel what they're feeling. But empathy can be during a positive situation as well. It's the idea of caring and trying to understand how someone else feels. Healing. Now, of course, you've probably heard the word healing before, like if you're sick or injured, you hope that you get well. You hope that you heal quickly. Now, this idea of healing is a little bit different. It's more of the emotional, kind of inner healing. And for servant leaders, healing means supporting followers, helping them to overcome their problems, and seeking their well-being. And it could be physical well-being, or it could be mental health, or it could be situations in their life, such as having a house and transportation and care for their children, anything like that. So good servant leaders care about the whole person, and they care about helping the follower to be successful, to be whole, and to have this healing in their life, meaning that they are overcoming their problems, that they're successful, and that they have a good mental health, they have peace in their life, things like that. And there are two pictures here that kind of represent that. On the left, you see maybe a little boy looks sad. He's dropped his teddy bear. He's reaching out towards that heart. So healing would mean helping him restore his little broken heart. On the right, you see a group of people holding hands together, looking at the sunset. And a lot of times, healing involves connecting with other people. Awareness. For servant leadership, awareness means being attuned to the political, social, and, whoops, I said political twice, political and social environments. A leader should be aware of himself or herself and be aware of situations beyond our control. So good leaders are aware of the business environment, the social environment, and even the national political environment. But then good leaders are also aware of themselves, what's going on in their own life. If a leader is feeling very tired and has maybe stress from home, and then brings that into the workplace, that would be very negative. But instead, a good leader would maybe recognize that, oh, I'm feeling tired today, I have some stress, so I'm going to tell my coworkers that. Or I'm going to lead in a little bit different way because I'm aware of how I'm doing today. And you can see that in the image where the person is looking in the mirror and they see that maybe they're not being their best self that day. You know, they're frustrated, they're tired. You need to be aware of that. Good leaders are self-aware. And then on the bottom left, you see that situational awareness, awareness of things outside of ourselves. And you see the cat facing down an eagle. Situational awareness means that cat would not try to fight with that eagle. Eagles are very large birds who are very strong, so a small cat would probably not have a chance. So situational awareness and that outside awareness means being aware of those situations outside of our control and making good decisions in response to that. Persuasion. Persuasion means giving clear and consistent communication which convinces others to change. And persuasion is what good servant leaders use instead of coercion or power plays. So good servant leaders don't use coercion, they don't use power plays. Power plays means trying to grab power or trying to use power to force other people to do certain things. Instead, a servant leader is not dominant or authoritarian in the sense of trying to force people to do things. And the only time that I would say a servant leader is dominant or authoritarian is to protect or fight on behalf of his or her followers. But overall, servant leaders use persuasion to influence their followers. They give good ideas, they give advice, they encourage the people who are following them, whether in a work situation or in even a friendship situation or a coaching situation. They give new ideas. So this picture of giving new ideas to people is that idea of persuasion. Conceptualization. Conceptualization means being a visionary and providing clear goals and a sense of direction. So the first picture in the top where a person is holding this kind of glass orb is kind of that picture of conceptualization. Good leaders might see things in a new way or in a different way. But then beyond being a visionary, they have to communicate that vision to their followers. So you see the picture of the leader who's pointing the way and then people behind them that are looking in the same direction. A good leader will communicate their vision and be able to help others to see their new view of things or a different way of viewing things. And they provide those clear goals and sense of direction. Foresight. Foresight means anticipating what might happen in the future. It includes being prepared and taking responsibility for what could happen in the future. So on the right, you see a picture of someone holding almost this orb, this ball, and they're looking to the future. Here it looks like it's very technological. So any company right now that is looking towards the future, or any leader that's looking towards the future, will probably be thinking in terms of new technology and how to adapt to that new technology. The other image that you see is of a binoculars, and those are things that you use to see something that's far away. And foresight is that same kind of idea, but it's not seeing something far away in space, it's seeing something far away in time. So it's looking towards the future and trying to anticipate or guess or make a good guess about what will happen in the future, and then plan for that future, what the future may hold. Stewardship. Stewardship means accepting leadership and carefully managing the influence that a leader has, focusing that moral weight of leadership. You might have heard the word stewardship before when we talk about caring for the planet or taking care of plants and animals, things like that. That's exactly what stewardship means. It means taking on those responsibilities for caring for something or someone. And in leadership, we're talking about taking care of the followers and taking on that responsibility or that moral weight of encouraging followers to succeed in their life or in their job. Commitment to the growth of people. Commitment to the growth of people means treating each person as valuable, caring about a follower, and being committed to their growth, even if sometimes other goals fail. Leaders seek to empower followers to reach their goals. So here, I love this picture. You see what looks like a watering can that is watering a plant. But notice how the watering can also kind of looks like a book, and you see the plant or the planter looks like someone's head. In other words, good leaders are planting good ideas, planting encouragement, planting advice, and coaching up their followers to be successful, to grow and to flourish and to have a good life, have a happy life, have a successful life. So good servant leaders, or a mark of servant leadership, includes the commitment to the growth of people. Building community. Building community means fostering the development of relationships, teams, and community. And community is a group of individuals with shared interests and pursuits who feel some sense of unity or relatedness. Community could be your neighborhood, the people who live near you. Or community could be your classmates, the people who go to the same college as you. That's community. Or that have the same exact class as you. Servant leaders seek to give back to their communities, whether that's the wider community, like their city or their town or their neighborhood, or it could be to a specific part of that community, like to a nonprofit organization or to the poor in their neighborhood, something like that. Servant leaders are looking at how to improve the world around them. Servant leaders want to build relationships and community and then work together to serve and improve the world around them. Ethical behavior. Ethical behavior means choosing to do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing, or even if no one's watching, or even if maybe they won't get in trouble, even if they do the bad thing. Instead, good leaders do the right thing, even when it's a hard thing. Ethical behavior includes having strong moral standards, being honest, being open, and being fair to all people. So it's choosing right instead of doing wrong. Ethical behavior is important for all leaders, regardless of what style of leadership they have or what strengths of leadership they have. But ethical behavior is incredibly important for servant leaders. They take on a deep sense of responsibility and accountability when they are leading. So to summarize, servant leaders commit to put their followers first. Caring for others is the central component. So if you work for a servant leader, they should care about you and they should want you to succeed. Because of this, servant leadership is counterintuitive. Remember, when we think about a servant, typically we think about someone who is in a low position, someone who is waiting tables or cleaning up messes in a low position. Or, in the old days, like servants were people who, took care of housework or things. And that traditionally has been seen as a low position. But instead, servant leadership is kind of flipping that narrative, and it's saying that servant leaders are ones who help others, who take on that low position by their own choice, and they help others. Remember, most leadership theories view influence and control and power as a positive thing. That's especially like that authoritarian style of leadership, or a dictator type of leader. They really hold on to power. However, servant leaders try to share that control and influence with their followers. They want to help empower others. So it's kind of almost like an opposite approach to some traditional styles or theories of leadership. Servant leaders may even give up control to help others succeed. So especially as they develop followers into leaders, they help to uplift others, and they help to let their followers have control and have power and have authority. So it is kind of a counterintuitive theory of leadership, but it's one of my favorites. I think it's a mark of a great leader is someone who's willing to step back and let others improve themselves, and someone who's willing to come alongside and coach and encourage and clap for their followers. I think that's a mark of a great leader. And that's in contrast to like a dictator who wants to hold power forever or wants to push away people who have good ideas. Instead, servant leaders welcome that. They welcome people who have all kinds of great skills, and they encourage and they develop those skills so that others will succeed. And servant leaders kind of view the world as, if I can help others succeed, then that's a win for me. So servant leaders try to look for those win-win situations. Okay, so that's a quick overview of servant leadership. We will continue to discuss it in class, and we will work on some service projects as well. I look forward to seeing you in our live online class.